Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today, let's see what beauty is locked inside this burl. I threw my back out a couple days ago and still feeling the effects of it. So some of this, or probably most of this, I'm gonna be sitting down. Hope you don't mind. During the YouTube meetup that we had about a month ago now or so, one of the people that was with us, his name was Steve, he was walking through the woods and knew I like to carve wood and stuff. I was talking to him earlier about carving burls and stuff, and he was walking through just the area around us and found this laying on the ground. Somebody had sawed this burl off of a tree. I'm not sure what tree it's off of or what type of wood it is. We couldn't find the cut, but he found this laying on the ground, gave it to me. So I brought it home and I've been looking at it for a few weeks, and I decided, you know what, let's see what's inside this. So first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna strip all this bark off of here. So let's do that. All right, so while I can stand up here for a little while, I'm gonna try to just I got an old nasty chisel that I just use for basically utility work. I'm just gonna come through, I'm probably gonna have to use my hammer on some of this and just try to get all this bark off of here, all this bark and stuff. So let's do that. See where that takes us. Man, stuff's really on there.
Stop! Hammer time!
Yeah, this is gonna take a bit of work. This stuff's on there pretty good.
A few moments later.
I've got most of the bark off, pretty much all of it off, just a little bit of just tiny little dark remnants that'll come off in carving. So, but most of the big heavy stuff that's gonna dull my blades when I come in here to carve, that stuff is off. I think what I wanna do before I start getting into too much of the carving on the outside is I want to drill into this and just make sure that it's solid, because underneath here, right here, I got a soft spot that looks like the pith of the wood that might be coming through into here. So that's going to determine what this thing turns out to be. So I'm going to try to drill in here as deep as I can. I don't want to go too deep because I'm probably going to have to take some of this bottom off, but maybe at least inch and a half down, and try to hog out some of this material with just a bit and brace, because I don't feel like sitting here with my chisels and just hammering at this right now. Holy cow, this stuff's hard. Maybe I'm not drilling it out with a bit and brace. Man, okay. Well, as much as I don't like to, we're gonna have to go to power tools because I can't press like that. Holy crap, this wood's hard. Oh shit, did I go all the way through? No? Okay, so hit a weird spot, but that's what you get with burls. You never know what's inside them. So I started drilling this out, and the outside wood is hard. I mean, like really friggin' hard. Like I even had just my power drill going into it, and it was smoking in certain spots. It's so hard and so dense. But I'm drilling it out, and I'm trying to drill out this middle and trying to hog out as much as I can so I can save my knives and stuff. And I hit a huge cavern. Like that goes in that deep. And it's still soft in there. I've been trying to like pick at it with a chisel here and just kind of scrape it out to see how far down it goes. And it's pretty soft in there. So A, that saved me a bunch of time, but B, I don't know how far that rot inside of there is gonna go. On the outside, it's pretty hard, solid wood all the way around, other than this little spot. And I'm pretty sure that rot obviously goes all the way through to that. So I'm gonna have to drill that out at some point. And if I wanna make this into anything that holds any type of liquid, water, coffee, whatever, I'm gonna have to probably do the epoxy trick on this, where I drill it out and fill that hole with epoxy. I don't know that I'm gonna use much power tool or much hand tools on this one. My back's just not having it, but I'm tired of sitting in it on the couch. So I think what I'm gonna do is get the power carving tools out for the Dremel and just start hogging out as much as I can of this and kind of open this cavern up a little bit so that I can get in there. And then maybe I can get in there with gouges and kind of refine it a little bit more. But I think as of now, I'm gonna go the power tool route. Stupid. Man, there is a lot of rot in here. I still think it's savable though. There's not a lot of wood left, which is ideal, right? You want it nice and thin. It'll be a nice piece when it's done, but I just have to be so careful around this hole that I don't blow a side out, you know. So I'm trying just to get in here with my spoon gouge and kind of excavate this rot down to solid wood. A, so that the wood grain will be nice and cohesive, and B, you know, like later when this thing really dries out, and not that it's actually pretty dry, to be honest, not a lot of wet or moisture left in this. So this has probably been cut for at least a season or two sitting on the ground.
It's getting there, but still got a lot more to go. The more I'm digging, the more I'm finding solid wood down there, but it's not, I think it's gonna be kind of a little punky like that the rest of the way. So I might try just kind of smoothing it out and seeing where I can go. We'll see. It's cold out here today. I'm kind of shaking a little bit. I gotta get working, warm up. So I came up with this, I think, cool idea to fill the hole down at the bottom. I'm still gonna do epoxy, but I put an acorn in there and I'm gonna fill the whole thing in with epoxy and fill all the way up to the top of that acorn maybe. I think this is my epoxy. I think I've got enough in here to fill it. Maybe, hopefully, and I'm gonna keep it in that position sitting so that it'll level itself out there, and then hopefully will sit like that. Oh, it's cold in here. It is cold in here today. Ah. The battery died in the last scene. I was mixing up that epoxy. Not really, that wasn't really like river table epoxy, or when you think of epoxy stuff lately. That's more like adhesive epoxy. And I wound up pouring it in there, getting the acorn in there in place. And then I put a heat gun on it to try to disperse it, but I couldn't. It focused a lot of the heat straight in, and it ended up looking like that. So it came out kind of white and bubbly. It did work. It's in there fine, but I don't like the look of that. So I'm trying to figure like, how am I gonna fix this now, right? So I went online and I got some actual like river table epoxy. So it's got epoxy and hardener in it. Kind of similar to the other stuff, but this is a lot thinner. It'll float out nicer, and I think it'll look good. But it is also crystal clear. So I'm gonna take some of this black mica powder, mix it in with that clear, crystal clear epoxy, and then pour a thin layer on top of this. And I'm hoping that the black will be dark enough, I'll put enough in there, that it'll hide the kind of white underneath, it'll fill in some of the low spaces, and we'll still have some of our acorn exposed, because I want the acorn to kind of look like it's just kind of resting inside there. So I've never done this stuff before, so we're gonna mix up that powder, or it's just a 1-to-1 mix, so it shouldn't be that bad. I'm gonna do a little squeeze, mix them together for a while, mix in some of that powder, and see how it turns out. So I busted out the scale for this just because I can be a little more accurate. I don't need a ton here, so I'm not pouring like 1 ounce of each. I'm pouring, you know, just small amounts here. Because I don't think we need that much here. Maybe we do. I don't know. Never done this, so I'm eyeballing it, you know. Alright, so that's the hardener and the other epoxy. So step 1. Let's see. Okay, that's 10. I'll take this. 18, 19, 20. Alright, we're exactly at 20. So 10 parts of each. And we're going to mix it. I'm going to add a little bit of our powder in, because I want this to be fairly dark. Like I said, I'm winging this. Never done this type of stuff before, but I've been interested in doing it or learning more about it. Figured this is a good first step. You know, maybe I'll make a river table one day, but for now, I think this will work. I was kind of talking with Shalisa Shell at our meetup about this. She does a lot of epoxy resin things, and she was kind of telling me the process a little bit. So I think this is cool. This is really dark. Look at how that's turned out already. That looks pretty cool. I think I have way more than I need, but just kind of mixing real thoroughly. It said on the package to really mix and stir, but without trying to avoid mixing a lot of bubbles in. I don't know that bubbles is that important when you have like a dark color like this. I mean, I'm assuming bubbles are still, you don't want any bubbles, but I'm assuming bubbles are more prominent on clear or translucent ones. We'll see. All right, well, let's try pouring this in. So, kind of poured it in there a little. Try and see if I can get it to roll back. I don't want it to cover the acorn that much. Here we go. What do you think? Not bad. I think it's leveling out nice. I kind of like it. That looks good in there like that, I think. And that's going to stay liquid for a while. I think this takes like 3 days to cure, so we'll see where it goes. If we, I think it'll, what I'm saying is I think it'll float out over the next 3 days as it cures. It's still going to be real liquidy for a while. So we'll see. This is a test, you know. Like I said, we're testing this to see how it works. It's almost cool. It's almost like there's like little bits of glitter in there. It's kind of neat. I like it. It's got a little sparkle to it. It's hard to tell on camera though, I bet. Alright, well, that's about all we can do on this for now. You know, to be honest, from this view, it kind of looks like a big ear. I don't know. But we'll see. We'll see where we go with it. I'll come back when this is cured up.
So the epoxy pour came out well. I'll show you that here. If you can see in there or not. But it looks nice and glossy black. And just half of that acorn is just kind of showing through. So now I'm just going around, just kind of giving it final shape. Any little divots or knife marks or anything, I'm coming through and sanding out. So I've got like this kind of a nail file type thing, kind of soft a little bit, but just a little bit firm enough to give it some structure. And I'm just going around. It's got a coarse side, a fine side. I went around on the coarse and smoothed everything out. And now I'm just kind of fine sanding it, getting it nice and smooth and everything, flowing well. And then I'm coming back in with some 220. And just smoothing everything out to a nice finish. So the plan next is, the more I'm looking at this, the more I want to fill this with clear. So as you look down inside, you see like the black kind of abyss with the acorn just kind of chilling in there, right? And I'll probably fill it up to maybe about a 1/4 inch, maybe 1/2 inch down from the outer rim. So as it sits like this, you'll be able to look down in there and see it, but it'll be a solid piece. I think that would look cool for some reason, so I'm going to try it. I think you can only pour a 1/4 inch at a time thickness, so I'm going to have to, I don't think I can do like one giant pour. I think it just won't cure right. So I'm going to clean this out and I'm going to fill a 1/4 inch and then wait a couple days and fill another 1/4 inch and another, and just keep layering it until I can get, that's probably at least 1 inch thick on the shallow side and maybe 1.5 inches, 2 inches on the top, depending on how high I go with it. So we'll see. And then I'll come and kind of smooth it out, hopefully, and I don't know, make it look good. It's been about a week, a little over a week actually. I had to pour in like 1/4 inch layers at a time. I don't know if you have to do that or not, or if you can go more or not, but that's what I did. It's the first time I've ever done with this. Some lessons I've learned: I need the like vacuum thing for sure to a little bit like get all the bubbles out. I tried my best with like a heat gun on it, and I put like a heat gun on it to like pop some of the bubbles and stuff, and it did a good job, but there were just some like micro bubbles that are deeper in that just never rose to the surface, and they're in there now. So, but I think it turned out pretty well. If you can see in there, I've got it all the way up to the edge, and then you can still see down in there and see the acorn. So I think that's pretty cool. So I did kind of take a paintbrush and paint that epoxy around the side, and it gives it that super shiny, cool look that pops the grain out really nice. So what I think I'm going to do is cover the whole bottom side in that too with the same method, and it should look really cool and super shiny. So I'm going to do that now. All right, I mixed this up. I've got these like little micro bubbles in there, but I put the heat gun on it, tried to pop a bunch, got it thinned out because it was kind of cold in here. But I'm brushing this on pretty thin, so I don't think bubbles will be really an issue. So I kind of set it up here, and I'm just going to work it around. So I noticed sometimes when I was mixing up the mix, you're supposed to do a 1-to-1 ratio. But I noticed at times just because I'm going maybe off weight, maybe I was on the low end of the scale at times, but I noticed that sometimes it would harden, but it would harden like a little tacky for certain layers. So I started putting, like if I was at 10 grams of epoxy, I would do 11 grams of hardener. And I think that worked out really well, because then it started solidifying up really hard and it would feel solid. I wouldn't get that tackiness anymore. All right, so that's it with the epoxy layer on. I think I put a pretty good coat. I don't want to go crazy thick with it, but I'm kind of using the heat gun and popping bubbles. See a couple over here. Little micro bubbles. But just with one coat of finish, look at that grain. Like, is that cool or what? Look at that grain pattern, man. That is so cool. The swirls, the colors, the layering. I'm going to let this dry now for probably another day or two, and we should be pretty much wrapped up. I'm sure on the bottom side, I'm probably going to have a little touch up here and there to do, kind of sand down and float a little bit more epoxy. I've got a little bit more left, but not a lot. I've pretty much used those whole 2 bottles on this. I think it turned out pretty cool. It's not perfect, right? Like, if I could have had some type of vacuum to try to pull those bubbles out, it probably would have been a little more clear, but you can still see down in there pretty cool. You can still see the acorn. And I really like how it gives it that just super high gloss shine. So it's pretty cool. I like it. It's not for every piece. I'm not going to put this on furniture or anything. I don't like that shine on furniture, but this isn't furniture. This is more art to me. So I think it looks really cool the way it turned out. And it was an experiment, got me into that epoxy kind of world a little bit. So that's it for today. If you like this type of content, subscribe down below, comment, let me know, do you like burl carve? Let me know, do you like burl carving? Do you like this type of content at all or not? I think it's kind of cool. It gives me my little creative juices flowing to be able to create just unique, different one-off type things. You know, that's the fun I like about burls, is that there's no two the same. They're all different. And you never know what's inside of them when you start carving them. Sometimes I would love to get one. I have another one down there. I've got a large one from an ash tree we cut last year. We carved a small burl. I've got a video on that if you want to go check that one out. There's a large one that I'd love to turn into a bowl or something, but I just haven't got around to it because it's ash and it's just so hard to carve. So I might have to do the same technique on that one eventually as this one, where I just have to use power tools, which it's okay. You know, there's nothing wrong with using power tools. I just prefer hand tools. So anyway, if you like this type of content, subscribe down below, give me a thumbs up, comment, share this video out if you'd like, and I'll see you on the next one.